introduce yourself to the board?
So, my name is Pranav Mananghath. I come from Thrissur, which is also known as the cultural capital of Kerala. I did my schooling from Government Model Boys Higher Secondary School, Thrissur, and after that, I did dual degree BS and MS in physics from IIT Madras. Then I spent 2 years in Canada doing MSc in astronomy, and in 2019 I came back and started preparing for UPSC. And for the past 4 to 5 years, I have been preparing for UPSC. I have also been teaching physics as an optional, also science and technology. And my hobbies are, I like to watch investigative thrillers. I like to watch YouTube videos on science and technology and geopolitics. Also love to read non-fiction. And I also love to solve Sudoku puzzles.
You have a brilliant academic career.
Yes, sir.
A very specialized one.
Yes, sir.
Why do you want to move away from that into the civil service?
So that decision was a very hesitant as well as, it was a very hesitant decision. So earlier I always wanted to become a scientist, but while doing my master's in Canada, I was feeling that I was not very satisfied with what I was doing. I was not getting that whether this is what I want to do. Then I thought I would take a break. Then I came back to India after taking a leave, and I started looking for other options, what other options are possible for me. So I looked into many different other career options at that time. Then I talked to a couple of my friends who were already in service at that time. My roommate was an IAS officer, and a couple of my classmates were IAS and IPS officers. And talking to them, I understand that this is a possibility that I could pursue. So I started pursuing, I started preparing, I started looking into the career. But more than the service itself, initially I started loving the new subject that I'm studying. So the first time I'm studying economics, history, geography after 10th standard. So I started getting a lot of interest in that. And while studying for the UPSC, while studying all this, then only after that I realized that, okay, this is what I want to do. I felt like I can do a lot of things in civil service. I can contribute a lot to the society and the country.
You were to get an opportunity to teach at one of the IITs.
Yes.
Wouldn't that be a rewarding career option?
Definitely, sir. It will be a really good career option also. But I felt for me, I would be more satisfied to be more active in society, to be part of policy decision making or policy implementation. So I felt I would be more fit to that job than being an academician.
Well, yeah. We are interested to see your profile.
Yes.
Also appreciate some of the work you have done in several areas.
Sir.
I accidentally noted that you have a passion for creating videos or enjoying the videos,
Yes.
particularly related to geopolitics.
Yes, sir.
Now, what is geopolitics actually?
Geopolitics is essentially the political relations are happening in the international arena. So how the politics of the world determine the international relations between the countries, especially, and I'm more interested in what happened with India's point of view.
Suppose you are selected to IFS, I think this aspect will come as a very important element.
Yes.
In determining and shaping the policies.
Yes, sir.
So you said that you are also interested to connect geopolitics with India.
Yes.
Can you explain the geopolitical challenges for India?
So there are primarily 3 things I would like to look forward. One is currently the world is in a moving from a say unipolar US-led world towards a multipolar world in the past 20 years. And everybody is trying to find their spot in that. So India would need to manage these major powers and their varying interest to ensure the strategic autonomy. And the second thing will be India's relation with the neighborhood, and the entire neighborhood is currently in turmoil, and India need to make sure that it needs to be in a stable level. And among all these chaoses, India needs to make sure that it ensures its economic growth and security, military capabilities, to make sure that it can stay within this global scenario that is currently.
These are broad things. I'm asking specifically about geopolitics.
So specifically, the major problems currently India is facing with regard to China and the growing influence of China in our neighborhood. The second would be dealing with USA right now with the Trump came to power, how it is going to affect India. Especially yesterday he has threatened with sanction if BRICS is moving towards de-dollarization and all. So such kind of scenarios can have negative impact on India, and other would be related to the India's relation with Russia amidst the Russia-Ukraine war.
Actually, I'm not satisfied by the way in which you are trying to collect the significance of geopolitics. You are all mentioning about broad foreign policy contours and also about international relations.
Yes, sir.
It is so crucial in geopolitics for India.
What is crucial for India in geopolitics?
From the geopolitical angle, what is crucial now for India?
May I take a moment to think? So I believe India's soft power is extremely important in dealing.
You're not getting geopolitics from me. Okay,
sorry.
we will explain when the discussion on feedback comes. We will give you more ideas on that. And since you have taught IIT briefly,
Yes.
Coming to the field of education, how will you differentiate between top national institutions of importance with that of the ordinary colleges and universities?
Okay.
Which are the top universal institutions of national importance as far as education is concerned?
In India, so obviously all the IITs, NITs, and IASC, Bangalore, then ISAs, and the university, like the universities like JNU, Central Universities. This will be the major institutes.
How about the broad scenario? What are the types of universities we have now?
So currently we have autonomous institutes which are made like IITs. Then we have deemed universities. Then the state universities and other universities made by the central laws, like the central universities and all. So
a lot of gaps here. Okay, all right. But give us the specific divergence between institutions of national importance and ordinary colleges and ordinary universities.
So they have special funds allocated from the central government, which make their infrastructures better and their they're much more autonomous. They can make majority of the decision based on their own. They can make their own decisions. So which this autonomy helps them to improve in the areas of research and development.
Have you followed national education policy?
Yes, sir.
Give us some important elements of NEP.
So NEP is providing a lot of importance to higher education. So especially to creating center of excellences and institute of eminence in India. And generally, I think currently we are spending less than 1% of GDP on higher education, and it needs
how much?
Less than 1% of GDP on the higher education sector, which needs to be increased to to 3% if I remember correctly. Other than then we have from the NEP perspective, we have this central credit bank, which is part of it, so which allows for the easier transfer of credit from one university to another, which would be really good for students who can
Okay. Yeah, Pranav, you are an astronomer by academics.
Yes.
So which is your area of interest?
So, ma'am, I worked in planet formation theories. So, how planets getting formed from the primordial disk which is surrounding a protostar. So that's my areas of expertise.
Okay, what is a planetary migration?
So planetary migration is essentially when when planet gets formed in its initially there will be a protostar and there will be a accretion disk surrounding it. In that disk, a planet may be forming. Planet-like things will be forming at the edges of this disk, maybe beyond like 500 astronomical unit and all, and eventually they will migrate towards the center through the gravitational force as well as the tidal forces, and they will clear a path and create its own orbit around the sun. So this path, this traveling from the outer orbits towards the inner orbits within, let's say, 10 to 20 astronomical unit could be called migration.
So do you think that planetary migration happened in our solar system as well?
It is possible that there are no obvious ways in which we can say that, but some of the observations like asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter could be explained by a primordial planet which got destroyed. Why it is going through migration from the outer solar system to the inner solar system. But we are seeing many such examples from exoplanets, which actually suggest to the migratory embryo model of the.
So since you mentioned exoplanet, which is the first exoplanet discovered?
First exoplanet, I don't remember, ma'am. I'm sorry. I need to read about it.
Pegasus one.
Pegasus one. Thank you, ma'am.
Remember?
Yes.
You can't recollect. So okay, when it happened?
I don't remember, ma'am.
1991.
1991.
So what is Earth-like planet? What is Jupiter-like planet? Since you mentioned exoplanet,
Yes.
so elaborate on that.
So Earth-like planet is essentially a planet which has a solid surface to stand on, meaning they are not gaseous planet. So majority of their gaseous atmosphere is removed, and it's mainly a solid substance, so whose mass will be comparatively comparable to the Earth also. A Jupiter-like planet is essentially any planet which is essentially a gaseous planet. It will be extremely huge. Its mass could be vary between like 0.5 Jupiter mass to maybe up to 10 Jupiter mass, and not 10 exactly 10, maybe less than around 10 Jupiter mass. So these kinds of planets are called Jupiter.
So what kind of exoplanets we are looking at?
We are currently looking at all types essentially, but it will be much more easier to discover Jupiter-like planets than Earth-like planets because they are comparatively larger. So their impact can be very easily seen through
So how can we see that? What is the signs that there is an exoplanet which is located in our premises, or premises in the sense, yeah, many astronomical units away, but or maybe many light years away, but how we will identify from Earth? Give me 2-3 ways in which, observation techniques in which we can observe.
Mainly there are 3 methods by which you observe the exoplanets. One is called transit method.
Okay.
So when normally there is a star, the intensity of a star is a constant over time. But when a planet crosses between a star and a planet, so the intensity dims, and which could give us an information about an exoplanet. Other is called barycenter method. In barycenter method, when a planet moves around its parent star, the parent star itself is moving slightly because it moves around its center of mass system, or the barycenter, and that movement can be observed with the help of spectroscopy, and from that we can identify a planet.
Wobble,
yes, it will be wobble, or some small kind of movement will be.
Okay.
And finally, direct observation, which is very difficult, but recently with James Webb Space Telescope we could actually take direct photographs of exoplanets. In 2-3 exoplanets could be
Why
taken.
Prime Minister is going to France next month?
I need to read about it, ma'am. I forgot that. I'm sorry. I have to. I'm not able to recollect.
Recently, President of Singapore visited India. What is so special about it?
So I need to read about it, ma'am. I'm sorry. I'm not able to recollect.
Okay. What is Jal Jeevan Mission?
So, Jal Jeevan Mission is the central government mission to scheme to provide piped water to households, rural as well as urban households.
Rural as well as urban households. So, which ministry it is coming under?
It comes under Ministry of Jal Shakti.
Okay, so Jal Shakti is considering urban households also. So, what is the duty of Ministry of Urban Affairs?
I think I may be made some mistake. I have to check that again.
Okay.
Yeah, Pranav.
Yes.
If you were to give me a startup idea, the context of opening up of space,
Okay.
you look at the Kerala scenario, what kind of opportunities present themselves in the scheme of things for Kerala?
Kerala. Okay. So
Give me a startup idea that's a combination of innovation, agility in execution, and collaboration.
So we definitely can, since we are right now in Thiruvananthapuram, which is very close to where Vikram Sarabhai Space Center is. There are also liquid propulsion laboratories also here. So we can look for things like 3D printed rockets, 3D printed rockets, and the launching of such small rockets here. So small rockets are extremely important for the next 2 decades to come. So we can have a startup which makes rockets specifically for nano, micro, and small rockets, small satellites.
Small satellites.
Yes, and also creating satellites, of course. course.
Do you think the spin-offs from space technology can be implemented across sectors?
So there have been so many examples of spin-offs of space sector is coming to the other areas also. One example could be the use of the materials used in the rocketry in making prosthetic legs and prosthetic arms and all. So such kind of interdisciplinary ideas can also definitely come out of space sector.
Graphene.
Yes.
What is special about this material and how can it be?
So graphene is an allotrope of carbon. So it's planar structure. It has a very planar structure with and the importance is that it's a highly dense. It's a very strong material, but it's extremely light. And so this can be its conductivity. It also has a very high conductivity and which can be controlled. And we can create actually normally the semiconductor materials we can also make with the help of graphenes also. And graphene has huge applications in solar power and even in computation. Instead of there are labs across the world which creates transistors using graphene nowadays. So they have huge applications. So Kerala also has a graphene lab.
If you are explaining quantum gravity to a lay audience, how will you go about it?
So generally, the gravitational force. There are 4 fundamental forces in the universe. Among them, the strong nuclear, weak nuclear, and electromagnetic forces. These 3 forces are currently can be explained and can be part of quantum mechanics, which essentially deals with the smallest possible scales of the universe. But at present, the theories which explains the gravity does not conform to this smallest possible scale. So the quantum gravity essentially tries to explain the gravitational forces at that kind of scale, which is not normally, it's extremely small, near to the Planck scale, which is essentially the smallest possible length scale that is there. So it essentially bringing quantum mechanics and gravity together. These currently they are not incompatible in general.
Your Mr. Futuristic Elon Musk had gone on public domain stating, that even time travel is possible.
Yes.
With something in the offing, even in terms of workable, actionable kind of technologies.
Yes.
What are your thoughts on that? Is it possible? Or?
So in my understanding, time travel is an impossibility. I don't think it is possible. The second law of thermodynamics forbid it, because the only way the entropy can go is from smaller to larger, or the disorder. It can only go to disorder. So the time travel is not possible according to my understanding.
Quickly moving on. What is happening in Bangladesh?
So in Bangladesh, from August onwards, there was huge student protest against some of the corruption allegations against Sheikh Hasina and some of the bills she was passing, and Sheikh Hasina was ousted. Now, currently, there is a government that was supported by the military under Muhammad Yunus, who was an economist, Nobel Prize.
So, do you advocate continuous dialogue? Or?
Continuing dialogue with any neighbors is always important. And Bangladesh is also important to have a continuous dialogue with the current government, because we need to make sure that our interests are protected. So talking to the government is obviously an important step. So we are already done that, in my opinion.
Thank you.
So,
what is it that attracts so many students from India to Canada?
Okay, sir. So I felt that majority of the students who goes to Canada are going there to settle, not just to study, to take a small course. Essentially, it's a shortcut to visa, shortcut to like a permanent residentship, rather than going for an education. That's what I always felt. So they take a small course, a course of maybe 1-2 years long, and they get a work permit, and they get, after a couple of years, they get a permanent residentship. So they're essentially trying to move towards a country where they can settle. So rather than sending money back or getting money. So more than that, more than education, their job is to migration. Their interest is in migration.
What has gone wrong in India-Canada relations in recent times?
So India-Canada relation has been in turmoil in the last couple of, maybe in 1 year or more than 1 year, and especially with regard to Canadians protecting some of the Khalistani elements in their country. And recently they have accused India of killing one of the Khalistani there in Canada. And after that, this has been, and the Indian embassy in Ottawa was attacked by the Khalistani protesters, and Khalistan is having a lot of influence in the Canadian government also. So this leads to a lot of problem, and even Justin Trudeau accusing India of conducting operations in the Canadian soil, which has and Trudeau could not even give proper evidence for that matter, according to Indian Foreign Ministry. So currently the relation is going not in a good direction, and with the the government may be changing. Maybe there is a possibility of better future in Canada.
Should our relationship with China be a cooperative relationship, or should it be something that deals with our problems in a confrontational manner? Or would you suggest how should it be managed?
So it depends on how China react to it. So majority of the time, we would like to have a cooperative relationship with China. We have a lot of cultural linkages. We have so many years of trade history and all. But many times, especially with regard to the border and maritime border as well as the land border, China is being confrontational, and we cannot let that go lightly. We need to make sure that our strategic autonomy is maintained. So there are certain areas in which we have to be confrontational, and there are certain areas in which we can be cooperative also. So this should be a mixed way of relation. Looking at, we have to be very pragmatic about it, in my opinion.
What is changing in the nature of international relationships with the advent of Trump 2?
Okay. So US is supposed to be the the provider of security to the globe, and they have been doing that without much asking in return, like at least in the normal sense of the word return. But Trump being a transactionalist, he doesn't care these kinds of things. That's what I felt. So currently, even their best partners like European Union and NATO countries are also facing threat. For example, I feel like America is going towards a more like an expansionist way. They want to take Panama Canal. They want Canada to be their 51st state, and also looking to get Greenland as part of their country. So this is completely different from the ways in which they have been dealing in the past couple of years, or past couple of decades, in fact. But now this is very open, a bullish level of dealing with the countries, including their partners like NATO. So which can have an extremely disruptive effect on the global order. There is no doubt about that. So India needs to be very vigilant on how to dealing with all these things.
What percentage of IIT graduates go abroad for higher studies and work?
I don't know the exact number, sir. A lot of people I know that, like that. I don't know the exact number. I don't know a quantitative measure of those.
But considering the kind of investment we put into these outstanding institutions,
yes, sir.
Should we have some policy of encouraging them to remain in the country? Is there any such move happening?
So there should be more schemes to make sure that these talents remain in India. We definitely cannot force them to not go. So in the past say let's say 5 years or so, there have been many move from the central government to make sure that these talents remain in India. The one way is to increase, for example, there have been many PhD programs in the country itself, which offers higher scholarships to the students who pass from IIT. So even I remember that there was, when every other students were getting something like 27,000 rupees per month for their JRF, IITians were offered something like 80,000 rupees as a scholarship and all. So the scholarship mission is there, and there are other programs for the already the students who are already outside to come back in India and work from the the encouraging. There are schemes, I forgot the names, sir, I'm really sorry, and schemes to bring them back to work in India. So back to academia programs, the talent from the foreign universities to come back to India and join the institutes. So such programs are envisaged by the Indian government, but it needs to have a much more institutional form, and there should be more push from not only from the government but also from the institutes and the ecosystem, the incubator ecosystems, etc., to make sure that these talents remains in India.
Right. So, can you give your feedback?
Okay.
how is
Thank you.
performing,
Yeah.
how we can perhaps improve?
Yeah. Certainly, you need to improve a lot.
Sir.
Even body language,
Sure, sir.
tie, coat.
Okay.
Then your voice was so low.
Okay.
Some form of defense, some form of over humility, etc. shown.
Okay.
So that may communicate a personality of a weak leadership.
Okay.
So you have to be a little more dynamic.
Okay.
Speak with confidence.
Okay.
This is what I have to say regarding the body language and all those things. Regarding definitely, since you have a post-graduation from Canada, this question, as Chairman rightly asked, will definitely come. And read a little about the history of Indo-Canada relations.
Sure.
And what brings Canada and India together in terms of multiculturalism. And then you can also connect the kind of economic relations that we can develop. But the Sikh problem you have already highlighted.
Okay.
And you rightly mentioned about the demand for the Indian students to migrate for settlement. That part is well taken.
Okay.
And maybe something about Trudeau.
Yes.
How he made a mess of the Canadian economy.
Yes.
Geopolitics part, I was not at all happy.
Okay.
Because I was expecting at least to speak on Indian Ocean.
Okay.
And Indo-Pacific.
Okay. Yes.
You spoke broadly about foreign policy. Fine. When it comes to geopolitics, much more than that.
Okay, sir. Definitely, sir.
And definitely Indian Ocean is very important aspect, and that is where quadrilateral alliance also comes into picture.
Yes.
So there are about 44 countries in the Indo-Pacific.
Yes.
So that is more strategic. That is what is called geopolitics.
Sure.
Then on national education policy, I think you missed many points.
Yes, sir.
You mentioned 3% is the goal. No.
6.
Kasturi Rangan is the architect of this policy. He argued for 6%.
I thought for higher education, so anyway,
No.
I missed
Yeah.
it. Yes.
Yeah. Generally for education is 6%.
6%.
And for higher education, including research, he prescribed 3% for setting up NRF, National Research Fund.
Research fund. Yes.
So if you are aiming at that, be very clear.
Okay, sir. Sure.
I did not get that idea.
Okay, sir.
And national education policy, it needs a lot of financial support, proper leadership.
Yes.
Why it is not functioning despite having a good policy? Why it's not taking off? So those things you can think critically. And you never mentioned about private universities.
Yes. Yes.
And foreign universities are about to come.
Yes.
So we have national importance institutions, national importance, central universities, state universities, deemed universities, and private universities.
Yes.
Okay, that categorization is there, is important. Of course, these are the points I want to mention. And since you have a foreign degree, definitely the broad educational scenario. And I wanted to know actually you didn't answer that. The wide gap between the educational institution, the creamy institutions like IIT, IIMs, central universities, and then the ordinary universities starved of funds, and the big gap in the educational sector.
Yes.
Okay, so it creates multiple kinds of values and create different kinds of citizenship because students are studying from a different wavelength.
Yes.
So a proper educational advancement is not catching up.
Yes.
So that part also, how India can improvise through education. Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Pranav, your tie and the fold which is not properly kept.
Okay.
Yeah, that is, yeah, it's irritating me throughout the interview that grooming is not that fine with this, this left side. Okay, collar.
That's that's
Jacket,
yeah.
Okay.
It's still not proper, but yeah, that
You didn't catch it up when I said, no?
No.
it's irritating me a lot, and the tie also, that is okay. Regarding, I asked questions from 2 areas. One is international relation and general Indian, 3 areas. In government policies, India international relation, and your on area of expertise. I think you need to revise your area of expertise. because exoplanet, I never imagined about asking exoplanet when I was sitting here. But since you presented the topic, there is no other option other than asking.
Yeah.
I just thought of asking planetary migration and something else. I don't know. I never thought of asking what is the next question. Whatever things comes, I thought of asking that. That is a succeeding question. So, since you mentioned exoplanet, be clear about it at least.
Yes.
Which is the exoplanet? No, Pegasus 51. It's a PEG 51 is the exoplanet, if my memory is correct, and it is being discovered either 1991 or 1992.
Okay.
Okay, and the other things, okay, the transit method and the wobble and all, it's fine. But since you are an expert in that area and having two masters, you are having masters from here and masters from foreign country, then you should be aware about your area of expertise.
Yes.
And all those things, as a generalist, I know all those things. So as a specialist, you
Yeah,
definitely must be knowing it. And they may ask some other questions also from your answers. They can ask if somebody is interested in astronomy, astrophysics or general physics, they can ask questions from that area also. Since you mentioned another word, spectrometry, so some questions can be asked from spectrometry also. So India international relationship, Prime Minister's movement, any movement within India or outside India to be monitored.
Yes.
You are going to be part of the government, or you are going to be working for the government. So you should have, if you are forgetting everything or anything, no problem. At least where Prime Minister is going, if you are not aware, you are not serious about that, kind of a picture will be coming.
Okay.
So anything Prime Minister is involving, so read PIB website every day, at least PM or press releases.
Sure.
So that you will be having a holistic picture of, and if Prime Minister is doing something, if Prime Minister is inaugurating a particular organization or some launching a ship. Recently, Prime Minister launched 3 ships. Which one?
One is INS 𝐏𝐻𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬𝐬 one Nilgiri, then other one Surat, INS Surat. I forgot the last name of the
So these
destroyer.
kind of things, if Prime Minister is involving something, you please
Yes.
have a note of that one. And second thing, asked about policy, like all the programs and policies of Government of India for implementing their what the plans of government. This implemented through particular programs, right? So you have a thorough understanding of what various programs by different ministries. Okay, go back to publication division. Read Yojana and Kurukshetra 12 issues. You will be having the complete programs by the government for the last 1 year. And what else? I asked one more question. Singapore. One Singapore president is visiting after I think 10 years, after a decade. Though India is having very good relationship with Singapore, president level of the dignitaries are not visiting, and he is going to Konark. He is signing a semiconductor deal with MOU with our country. India is really looking forward for having more investment in semiconductor area. So naturally, that is a big step for astronomers also. They are one of the group which using semiconductor widely, in addition to mobile phones and those parties. So these kind of things you should not forget. So generally, you have the potential. Only thing is that you must be more. There are layers. So you should be knowing all the layers of the answers. Okay.
Yeah, Pranav.
Yes.
I personally felt that you could pay a little more attention to the questions being posed. Catch the essence of the question and then respond. You sounded and looked a bit defensive the whole session.
Okay.
Of course, you're very articulate. You're capable of answering from your area of domain expertise and all that. But then listening is also equally important. Right? The first question posed perhaps was on the geopolitical aspect. You could have caught on to that geopolitical part and then responded to that specifically.
Yes.
The tendency is to respond in a very general, covering all the contours and not come to the specifics, the spirit of the question.
Okay, sir.
That is perhaps one thing which you can work on.
Sure,
you can tweak your strategy a bit. I need not tell you all this because you are a coach yourself, you are a mentor yourself. I mean, that to me personally, I felt that this is one area
Okay, sir.
where you can definitely improve upon.
Thank you, sir.
Then I asked for a startup idea. Then you came up with rockets, and of course, these are capabilities, potentials.
Yes.
I asked for an idea that is relevant to the Kerala context right now.
Okay.
Maybe you could have worked on probably stated a problem, let's say, maybe in the agriculture sector or the healthcare sector,
Okay.
or a spin-off. The GIS, for instance, in transportation.
Disaster response thing.
Live transportation problem you could have taken,
Okay.
and then try to respond with an application that.
Okay. Yeah. I did not get the crux of that question properly.
So that's why I emphasized on
Yes, sir.
innovation aspect and
Okay.
agility of converting the idea to a.
Yes. Yes.
So, possibly you can add a bit more of focus into those way of responding, and then come to a conclusion.
Sure, sir.
So I think otherwise you're fit to go. Probably you should be looking, a person of your profile should be looking at a stellar performance,
Okay.
which means something well above 180, 190 and 200 plus.
Okay, sir.
I think that should be your goal.
Yes.
I suppose you have done. How few? We didn't ask you any questions. What was your optional? By the way?
Physics. Physics is my
Physics,
option.
sorry, yeah. We couldn't delve deep into all those.
Yes.
But maybe that's well. If
I
you
started very late for this year's interview preparation, so I was.
maybe you could have a subject expert also on board
Yes.
who might be asking you questions in
Yes,
LEGO.
yes.
Or,
When sir was in addition, sir was asking quantum gravity, you could have caught it. Einstein spent all his 31 years for, mixing this quantum mechanics and gravity.
Gravitation.
So this kind of thing, if you have, since it is an area of expertise, you could have really elaborated that area.
you start from the meta picture, the debate, and then where it is all being settled, and then you can come to the specifics.
Yes.
On Kerala, you can expect questions.
Okay, sir.
Definitely.
And they may even ask you, despite the criticism, can you identify some areas where the present government has done reasonably well?
Okay.
Hmm?
Yes.
Which area you would say?
I would say infrastructure creation. Infrastructure creation, especially road transport.
Infrastructure is mostly a product of central government.
But in Kerala, there is another problems associated with that.
Money is paid by the central government.
Yeah, but for the land, the main issue in Kerala was land.
When somebody pays money, we are willing to pay.
But I think in Kerala
But
only.
credit won't go to us.
Yeah,
that is
that's
because
correct, but
BJP is
Kerala-
weak in
Don't
Kerala.
argue with
The whole
Yeah,
publicity the left takes only
Now-
because of the weakness of the BJP. I'm asking you.
So education, health,
Eh?
primary education, health, there is no doubt that Kerala government has been doing exceptionally well. And also in the past 4 to 5 years, they have been paying a lot of focus on innovation, and especially the incubation centers and new startups.
Startups.
Yes.
Startups, they are doing very well.
Yes. So that
Okay.
1 lakh new investment
Yeah,
came in.
that you can say.
Okay. So
Sure. Okay.
When is your interview?
it's on March 24th.
Time is there. Yeah.
Okay.
You have already appeared for one UPSC.
Yes, in 2021.
What went wrong? Did you think you did well?
I did not. I think I had some issues in that interview. So one question, I was asked a question on comparing Canada's, what IIT Madras can learn from Canadian Institute. So my answer was, in IIT Madras, for getting a master's, you need to do 28 courses in 2 years. In Canada, you can do that just by 4 courses and focus most of your time for research. So I thought that IIT Madras can have 2 types of masters, where one is the normal traditional one, another should be more research oriented one. So the panelist was okay with that, but some other panelist felt that I'm insulting India's education system. So I don't know. So I did not went to an argument and all, but he told me that I was insulting India's education system and went on with that. I thought that he was just trying to take me off the rail and to see whether I'm performing after that. But I don't know. That's the only thing I felt that it went wrong that interview. But anyway, I only
think
got
they have
154.
2 distinct streams. No, the MS program itself, you have an industry
Yes,
research focused kind of.
Yes, he was specifically talking about
And something that is
basic
purely
sciences.
academic.
So the MS program is for engineering.
Engineering.
Yes. So I don't know. I thought that was a problem.
You could also explain the ecosystem prevailing in IITs
Yes.
with that of Canadian atmosphere.
Yes. The person who was asked me, he was satisfied with my answer, but
Ah.
it was another member who asked me all this.
Sir, there is one Shyam Menon committee who talks about
on education,
academic and education.
That is what the
That's
Kerala government has done.
So
By-
you can
on-
take a look at that.
Sure, sir.
But that is just an excuse
Sorry.
for the present government to implement NEP. They don't want to use the term NEP. So they are bringing NEP through Shamman.
Shyam.
That's
Okay.
all.
Okay, sir.
Otherwise, they won't get any grant.
Correct.
We should expect a lot of questions on science and technology.
Your area
Given
of
your
expertise.
background,
Yes.
you are aware of our cooperation with CERN.
Yes.
Yes.
There will be members who are so science enthusiasts. Science
Yes.
freaks will be there.
Sure.
So
And similarly, on the semiconductor part, India is just entering that field.
Yes.
Yeah.
So she mentioned Singapore, and similarly Taiwan,
China.
of course. And why we are doing it so late?
Yes.
So, what are the challenges in that area?
Yes.
Competition with China, for instance.
Yes.
So you can do much better.
Sure, sir. Thanks.
You have some time to prepare.
Yes.
Please take on board the suggestions.
And general
Absolutely.
astronomy also
Yes.
have a look.
Sure, sir. Sure.
Sometimes, it goes on a random path. The whole interview takes off on they may
Okay,
ask
yeah.
you, because somebody is familiar with Varaha Mihira or
Yeah, yeah.
Aryabhatta and,
Yes. Yes, sir.
and even T. Padmanabhan or
Yes. Tanuvadmanabhan, yes.
Good.
Nanu's works.
Yeah.
So we wish you all the best.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for the feedback. Thank you.
Amrita IAS Academy.